Do real artists make commissions? That is the question. Well, I can't tell you what a quote-unquote real artist does, but I can tell you what professional artists do. And professional artists love to make commissions. I know I do, especially if giant robots are involved. I feel like in recent years the whole topic of commissioned art has been weirdly stigmatized, and taking on commissions as an artist has fallen out of fashion, it seems. So in this video I would like to convince you that, first of all, there is no such thing that real artists don't take on commissions, and artists who make commissions are worth less than artists who don't make commissions. But rather to the contrary, taking on commissions is actually a very good thing and makes you more of an artist and a better artist and a more serious and respectable artist, at least in my humble opinion. Now, why is it the case? Well, we're gonna dive much deeper into that in just a bit, but I also want to show you how I take on commissioned artwork and everything that goes into it, because as per usual, when it comes to all things art related, not everything is as it seems on the surface. In order to get to this point here, where you can see me create a drawing for a giant Gundam robot, well, let me show you what I had to do to get to this point. The things you do for art. Building this thing here took me much longer than I thought it would. It actually took me several days. I mean, it was enjoyable, I have to admit, but it took so much longer than I thought it would. And not because it's super complicated to build. Let me tell you a story. If you go on social media these days, and if you look at the creative process and people making art, it always looks like this super fun and joyful and blissful activity that's just awesome and fulfilling. Well, when I started building this thing here, I managed to lose one of these tiny pieces here. It flew off somewhere here in the studio, and I mean, technically it's got to be somewhere here, but after looking for it for several hours, I could not find it for the life of me. And it was one of those pieces that's pretty much essential to continue building this thing. Of course, I did what every rational person would do in that case, which is go online and order another model so I can actually continue building this thing. Well, now it looks great and it's finished, and I'm really looking forward to moving forward, building the canvas and coming up with a composition, but it just goes to show you that the creative process was, is, and always will be absolute chaos. It's worth it though. Sometimes. So the cool thing about this painting here is that since this is a commission, I don't have to worry about all the things that I usually tend to worry about, like what size this painting is going to be. It's going to be 90 by 90 centimeters because that's what the client asked for. And I now can completely focus on how I'm going to turn these 90 by 90 centimeters into the coolest Gundam painting I can, which I gotta say I really enjoy. I love working within limitations, I guess. And I also kind of like doing commissions this way. I know not a lot of people like to do commissions, and I can totally understand. It's not like I do very many myself, I have to admit. It's maybe a handful, if at all, a year. But whenever I do, and whenever it's something like this, I have to say I really enjoy doing it. So 90 by 90 centimeters, it's a pretty good size. It's not too small, not too big. I should be able to make a cool painting. And it's a square, which is also a plus. I mean, it's a very modern shape for a painting, which kind of works perfectly with the subject. And I already know what I want to do, which is also great. I mean, it's not anything crazy, I have to admit. It's not like I'm gonna reinvent the wheel here, but sometimes simple is best. Now, before we dive deeper into why I believe it's absolutely essential for artists to make commissions and why artists should change their whole attitude towards them, and some other things that are absolutely crucial for artists to be well-rounded and experienced and skillful, I want to let you in on a little secret. If you were to meet me in real life, I would actually sound more like this. For it to work. So, what is Noni doing there? Noni! Kein Unsinn machen. Okay. Yeah, what can I say? English is not my first language. If you were to meet me in real life, you are actually much more likely to hear me talk either German or Turkish, depending on where you meet me. So if you ever thought about picking up a new language, or maybe expanding your existing language skills, this is the perfect opportunity. Because this video's sponsor is Mondly, which is one of the world's top 5 language learning apps, with over 110 million users worldwide. And they are currently hosting a fantastic spring sale with a 96% lifetime access discount to all their languages. Being able to speak multiple languages isn't just fun, but it honestly opens you up to so many opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't have. I mean, I wouldn't be the artist I am today if it wasn't for the fact that I can speak a couple languages. I couldn't even be doing this commission here if I couldn't speak English, or I couldn't be talking to Anna, who is our lovely video editor. Shout out to Anna, who always makes sure that the videos look great. But all those sorts of things wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the fact that I can speak a couple languages. Whether it's being able to speak German or Turkish and understand those cultures and communicate in them, or just being able to speak English and, because of that, being able to communicate with like-minded people from all over the world ever since I started out as an artist. Being able to speak a couple languages, I would definitely count among one of the big privileges of my life. All of Mondly's lessons are recorded by native speakers, and you get access to 41 languages. And one of the great things is that it actually focuses on practical lessons. So, learning a language in a way that you can use it in everyday life. And you can have real conversations, where, with the help of artificial intelligence, you can get real-time feedback, which helps you refine and improve your pronunciation very quickly. So, if you want to pick up a new language or expand your existing language skills, use the link in my description. I highly recommend it. And you can get a 96% lifetime discount to all their languages. Would you believe me if I told you that there was a time where painting commissions was the only thing that artists did? As a matter of fact, some of the most recognized and popular and well-known artworks ever created are commissions. Sistine Chapel, The Creation of Adam, commission. The Last Supper, commission. The Night Watch, also a commission. For most of human history, being an artist actually meant to make commissions. Artists didn't sit in their studios and paint just to post on Instagram. Most art created throughout human history has actually been created as a commission. That's what artists did, that's how they made a living. Mostly because of the church or aristocracy, but that's what artists did. I don't know why, but it seems like making commissions as an artist has fallen out of fashion. People just don't seem to want to do it anymore. And to a certain extent, I totally get it. I understand why. I mean, ideally, you are an artist, you have a creative vision, you just want to paint stuff that you personally like and enjoy, and then you want people to, ideally, want to have it or buy it. But unfortunately, that's not how things work. And that's not how things worked out for many hundreds of years. Some of the greatest paintings ever created only exist because someone reached out to an artist at some point and commissioned them. So if you think about it, a commission, if anything, is a huge opportunity. An opportunity to maybe paint the greatest painting you ever painted. You get to do whatever you love to do, and someone else gets their vision brought to life. Win-win for everyone. Of course, we all know the sort of commissions where you're asked to paint someone's kid or family or loved ones, and I'll be the first to admit that nobody really wants to do that. And luckily you don't have to. I mean, nobody forces you to. But it seems like there is almost like a general hesitance towards taking on commissions or making commissions as an artist. I can tell you from my own experience that I personally reached out to probably, I would say, at the very least a handful of artists over the course of the last 12 months that I personally wanted to commission to create some art and paintings for me that straight up just said, "No, I'm not interested." Without hearing any details, without hearing what I had in mind or how much I was willing to spend or any details really. Just, nah, I'm good. I'm not interested. And that is something that I have a hard time wrapping my head around, I have to admit. I mean, sure, I'll be the first to admit that no artist really wants to paint other people's children, families, or loved ones. Of course not. But on the other side, I mean, for the first 10 years of my artistic journey, I've painted countless of those paintings. People's children, people's families, parents, loved ones. I've painted some of the craziest things you can imagine, naked grandmas and zombie dwarfs, just to name a couple. And you know what? Even though I can't say that I enjoyed doing all of them, or even half of them, I learned so much about making paintings, about making compositions, dealing with people, solving problems, working with deadlines, that I don't want to miss that experience. And then there's also, of course, the commissions that every now and then come along that give you the opportunity or that challenge you to go above and beyond. Step out of your comfort zone, do something you've never done, think in a way you've never thought before, and, well, what do you know? Sometimes it leads to some of the greatest things you will ever create. So, I don't really get the close-mindedness. Not to say that all artists think like that, of course not. But there certainly seems to be a growing trend among artists these days when it comes to this topic, and I see the same thing when it comes to fan art, which also boggles my mind. So many artists and people out there seem to have such strong opinions on fan art, almost to the point of full rejection, and yet they know so little about the topic. What if I told you that everything you know about fan art is a lie? Well, we'll get there, but first I gotta fix something.
I think I messed up a bit. Or maybe I haven't messed up, but I'm not 100% happy with the colors here. Here's the thing, I focus so much on creating an effortless look to the painting, which is exactly what I want, but I lost track of the colors a bit, I have to admit. So it lacks a bit of nuance and subtlety, and it's not as well thought out as usual, I guess. Yeah, I will have to make some changes to that. If you look at the shadow side, it's significantly cooler than the light side, which is great. This is exactly what I want. But at the moment, the contrast isn't really clear enough for it to work. So I'm gonna rework everything, starting with the head, make the light side warmer, make the shadow side cooler, and then I'm also gonna make some changes to the turquoise, I think, because I'm also not really feeling the turquoise hue here. But no big deal. Just a bit more work to get to where we want to get. It's worth it. 100%.
Just because I'm painting a commission doesn't mean that I don't take it as seriously as any other thing that I paint, or that I'm less critical of myself or less ambitious. You know that I don't really like the talk of real artists and, yeah, not real artists, but if there was such a thing as a real artist, in my humble opinion, that's one of the things that makes you a real artist. Regardless of whether working on a fan art painting or a commission or someone else's vision, you treat it all the same and almost as if it's your last painting. And why wouldn't you? I mean, what on earth makes a fan art painting worth less than any other painting? I really struggle to wrap my head around that. Another thing that seems to be a growing trend, like the hate on fan art. Well, now we know that some of the greatest paintings ever created are commissions. But you know what? Some of the greatest paintings that have ever been created are not only commissions, but they are commissioned fan art, believe it or not. So many of the most iconic pieces of art that you can think of are in essence fan art. They are paintings based on existing stories, concepts, or ideas that people treasure, talk about, or pass on from generation to generation. And it's not any different from modern-day fan art. Throughout human history, there is no art without fan art. Whether it's art based on Greek-Roman mythology or art based on 19th century Sherlock Holmes books, there is no point in human history where fan art was not a major driving force for artists and their inspiration. And we can all be thankful for that, because, again, some of the greatest works of art wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the fact that there have always been artists out there that were essentially just fanboys and fangirls, but with a brush. I really do believe that having a different mindset towards these things, well, I think everyone can benefit from it. A commission can be a great opportunity. It can help you grow, it can help you step out of your comfort zone, try something else, think a different way. It can just help you level up and gain experience in a way that you otherwise just couldn't. And a work of fan art can help you connect with people on a different level, on a more emotional and personal level. Something that people can understand and get behind. You go to the museums of this world, and wherever you go, you will always see either a statue of Hercules or a painting of another mythical creature or character, and it's perfectly normal for us. But why should it be different if I paint a Gundam robot here? Or you paint a Pokemon, or a character from your favorite TV show or video game? All those things are actually what mythical creatures or gods or those sorts of things were for people in the past. Maybe a few hundred years from now, it will be just as normal to step into a museum and to see the painting of a giant robot as it is today, to see something like mermaids, Hercules, or King Arthur. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I want to live in a world in which we go to the museum to look at and worship giant robots. In any case, before we finish this painting off, there is one more thing I gotta show you. Okay. Now, before we move on to the good stuff, finishing this painting off and painting the background, I actually want to let you in on another little secret. See this huge canvas here in the background? Well, this here is not my first giant robot painting. And it's also not my biggest giant robot painting. Because this canvas here in the background, this giant thing here, is actually also a giant Gundam robot. In fact, it's actually, I think it's the biggest painting I've ever painted that I unfortunately never got to finish. It's been sitting in the corner of my studio for several years now because it's a giant robot painting, and even if I was to finish it, I honestly wouldn't even know what to do with it. So yeah, let me know if you want to see this painting here in 10 or maybe even 20 times the size, because that's what you get here. By the way, this is not even how tall the painting is. This is actually the width of the painting. The height goes up to the ceiling. Again, it's the biggest painting I've ever painted. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below if you want to see that, and maybe then I can justify finishing it. But yeah, let's finish this painting off, paint the background, and then see how all the individual pieces come together.